I-FLIER 103.3 FM live. I'm inviting you officially to join our Facebook page. Starting the show this morning from the home front, charity they say begins from home, from the camp of the Oluyole Warriors. Yes, up shooting, up stars. Ladies and gentlemen, the organizers of the Value Jet Cup have confirmed the Shooting Stars as one of the teams that will participate in this year's tournament, where the preseason game that is set to take place from August 9th to August 15th at the Remo Star Sport Complex in Ikenne. Of course, we'll see 6 teams battle for that particular competition right there. Shooting Stars, who won the tournament in year 2023, have of course been included in this year's own as well. Yes, they became the 4th team to be announced to take part in that particular competition. Of course, we've got Remo Stars, who are defending champions. They would participate in the competition. We've also got President Federation Cup winners, Kwara United. Yes, they were the 2nd team to be announced to participate in the Value Jet competition. Of course, yesterday, another team on the continent, Abia Warriors, who are on the verge of participating in the 2025-2026 CAF Confederations Cup. They would also be part of the Value Jet Cup 2025. Of course, Shooting Stars is the 5th team rather, of course, to be announced to participate in that particular one. Like I said, it's going to take place from August 9th to August 15th. 6 teams, and of course, it's going to follow a league format at the Remo Star Stadium in Ikenne, Ogun State. Well, it is in a bid to prepare teams for the upcoming MPFL 2025-2026 season that will start on August the 22nd. Alright, moving away from the camp of Shooting Stars, let's go talk about school sports. Yes, well, as you already know, I-FLIER 103.3 FM. The goal, the mission, the vision is, of course, to preach education and entertainment. Talking about schools' participation in sports, let me inform you that Nigeria student athletes that are currently representing the country at the inaugural African School Games in Nigeria, they are making waves right about now. Of course, things have been going rosy for Nigerian teams out there. Don't forget that the Super Falcons of Nigeria conquered Africa by winning Mission X, their 10th WAFCON title. Also, about a week ago, the Tigress of Nigeria also made the entire nation proud by winning the 5th consecutive Afro basket. So this time around, it was all about Nigeria student athletes participating at the African School Games going on in Algeria. Of course, we had Miracle Luebebe Ezechukwu, who was crowned the new African Schools 200 meters champions, blazing to gold with a personal best of 23.4 yet again. These are certainly girls to watch out for Team Nigeria in the coming days. Talking about African Games and talking about Olympic competitions as well. Yes, watch out for those names. Miracle Oluebe Ezechukwu and of course Chigozie Rosemary Nwanko. Yes, the champions of 200 meters and 100 meters respectively in the African School Games in Algeria. But that is not all. We had Perfect Fai and Mohamed Jimo, who secured silver medals in the boys 200 meters and the boys high jump respectively. Of course, Perfect and Mohamed teamed up with Emmanuel Akolo and Jesu Layomi Ogundijo in the boys medley relay to impressively secure silver for Team Nigeria right there. Yes, of course, it was the renewed hope mandate, and Nigeria is fast returning to glory as the epicenter for sports excellence in Africa, while simultaneously growing our sports economy and enhancing our international image as a prime destination for global sporting events. In 2027, Nigeria will deliver an unforgettable experience for young athletes from across the continent. Those are the words of the Director General of the NSC, Honorable Bukola Olopade, who of course led the delegation of Nigerians to that particular place. Of course, it was accompanied by the president of the Nigeria Olympic Committee, talking about the NOC, Abu Gomel. Yes, in 2027, Eagles defense Well, Eric Chell in Nigeria's first CHAN match in 2018 ended the surprise start to Jabal Malik and Kudus Akoni of Rainbow Stars as Aruno Adi and Arisin Zondo had to make a place on the bench. In goal was Shooting Stars Mustafa Lawal, who started ahead of first choice Ani Ozoemena, who was completely omitted from the match day squad. And of course, with Kwara United goalkeeper Nuruddin Badmos named on the bench. The Super Eagles team started with some fine combinations in midfield, but they barely made moves in the Senegalese half. We had midfielder Michael Tochukwu was booked for a 2-footed challenge after just 6 minutes into the game. Meanwhile, the defending champions made several moves into the Nigerian half, but they barely tested the goalkeeper Mustafa Lawal. Of course, after the interval, Nigeria emerged as the better side, controlling possession, but then they could not create any clear-cut chance right there. Akoni Kudus came close to scoring with his effort that went inches away from the target. However, a defensive mix-up in the Super Eagles defense 15 minutes from time handed the Terenga Lions the opportunity to score through Christian Gomez. Despite the introduction of Shola, Delani and Vincent Mitokwe after the Lions went in front, Nigeria failed to get back into the game as the defending champions kicked off their defense with a narrow win. Yes, it was a shambolic, it was a disappointing performance by the Super Eagles team B right there. And of course, the coach of the team, Eric Chell, was also disappointed with the performance of the boys, and he was also acknowledged the fact that the team needs to do better if they want to progress from this group. He complained about the team in transitions, and of course he spoke about the defensive mix-up that made the goal of Senegal happen. Ladies and gentlemen, from Zanzibar, let us go listen to the voice of Eric Chell, the coach of the Super Eagles, and of course the coach of the CHAN Eagles, speaking after the defeat against Senegal yesterday.
This is normal. This is victory. So in second half we gave the goal. This is two little mistake. So this is normal because we never get into this game. So maybe mentally, or maybe we scared about something, but we need to try to play football.
Super Eagles, waiting they happen, waiting they share, we want no. Shana Winch, I been landing, no matter their plan, no, we go still they fly. Where you do?
Yes, there you listen to the voice of the Super Eagles team B coach Eric Chell giving a submission after the defeat against Senegal. Of course, he highlighted the fact that the team was a little bit better in the second half of that game, and he says lots of job needs to be done by the team before their next game against Sudan. Yes, their next game against Sudan is going to be next week Tuesday. Yes, it is a game that the Super Eagles team need to win so that they can, if they want to start a chance to progress from that particular group right there. Well, following the defeat against Senegal yesterday, Nigeria has now failed to win their opening CHAN match for the third time in 4 outings. Yes, they failed to win their first game in 2014, and they also failed to win their first game in 2018. But then the Super Eagles have progressed to at least the semi-finals in the previous 2 occasions that happened. Well, maybe they could take a cue from this particular one as well. Yes, it was a painful defeat for the Super Eagles team B right there. Of course, maybe, just maybe, they could also take a cue from the fact that Nigerian government are currently rewarding to play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Don't forget that he was in the country last month. Yes, of course, to support grassroots football. He visited Ikene, he visited Lagos State as well. According to reports from Legit NJ Sports, Tosin Adarabioyo has opted to play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Do you think this will be a great addition to the defense of the Super Eagles of Nigeria right there? But then, like Alex Iwobi said, he's always welcome. We can't wait to have him join the ranks of the Super Eagles of Nigeria right there.
Sudan and even small Sierra Leone and Senegal come the game for Goliath for David like Nigeria. But thank God, 8 times.
Okay, on Facebook, I've got Adeniyi Paul Ogunremi saying, well done, sir. Yes, thank you very much, Adeniyi Paul Ogunremi. Thank you for your comment. You can also drop your comments on Facebook on I-FLIER 103.3 FM Live. I-FLIER 103.3 FM Live on Facebook. Okay, let's move away from that one. Let's talk about some transfer stories. Starting from the camp of Liverpool. Yes, Olympic Lyon have signed Liverpool midfielder Tyler Martin for £15 million. Martin, who joined Liverpool's academy at the age of 7 and was handed a senior debut in 2021. But then the 22-year-old struggled to force his way into the first team on a regular basis. He made just 14 appearances across all competitions and spent time on loan in the Championship with Hull City and with Blackburn. Although he helped the England under-21 side to win the European Championship earlier this summer. Olympic Lyon were demoted to France second tier earlier in the summer due to poor financial state, but then they were reinstated to Ligue 1 after winning the appeal. But then Liverpool boss Arne Slot has invested heavily in the squad during the off-season with over £250 million already spent on new additions following their title triumph in 2024-2025 season. And of course, it is essential that they move on players so that they can abide by the Premier League's PSR, talking about the profit and sustainability rule right there. Of course, that made sure Tyler Martin had to leave this particular team. Jared Kwanzaa, who also came through the club's academy system, was also sold for £35 million to Bayer Leverkusen last month. Okay, we're still talking about the camp of Liverpool on the show this morning. Updates that we are getting from the camp of Liverpool is that Darwin Núñez is on the verge of joining Al-Hilal in the Saudi Pro League. Yes, he's on the verge of joining Al-Hilal in the Saudi Pro League right there. It might be surplus to requirements because of the incomings in that particular Liverpool team. Of course, Darwin Núñez might just be joining Al-Hilal from next season. That is where he could be playing his football after a verbal agreement was reached between Al-Hilal and Liverpool. Al-Hilal are not negotiating personal terms with the striker. The final decision rests on the hands of Darwin Núñez, but talks are still ongoing between himself and, of course, the coach of Al-Hilal, Simeone Inzaghi, has made it clear that he wants Darwin Núñez in his team next season. Also talking about transfers on the show this morning, let me inform you that Juventus are looking at Poland defender Jakub Kiwior as a potential replacement for Lloyd Kelly should they sell him. Well, I don't know if Arsenal could be willing to sell Jakub Kiwior, who was an important backup for them last season when Gabriel Magalhaes got injured right there. But then they have brought in Christian Mosquera from Valencia. Yes, would they be moving on Jakub Kiwior? That is a question that is begging for answers on the show this morning. Still talking about transfers, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Benjamin Sesko, Manchester United and Newcastle. Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United are closing in on a deal to sign Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. Yes, RB Leipzig have accepted £82.5 million bid from Newcastle, but then the 22-year-old striker has made it clear that he wants Manchester United. No club-to-club agreement yet, but talks are advancing towards a conclusion. Within a matter of days, Darwin Núñez, I beg your pardon, Benjamin Sesko would be a player of Manchester United. Still talking transfers and unveiling on the show this morning. Chelsea yesterday unveiled Willian Estevao as their new signing 1 year after getting the deal done from Palmeiras. Yes, Estevao has eventually joined the Chelsea team right there. also giving you updates from the world of transfers this morning. I collected 5 offers from clubs in the Premier League and from the Italian Serie A for 32-year-old England defender Harry Maguire. Well, United have considered him important in that team, and they do not want